How many times have you heard the term marijuana or weed? Propaganda of the cannabis plant can be seen in TV shows, movies, and advertisements. As well, the conversations of the uses of the cannabis plant has been seen more in day-to-day conversations. In the past decade, the legalization of marijuana in the United States has become a hot topic as more states are allowing recreational marijuana. As a 21-year-old in Colorado, I hear about marijuana a lot, but I've yet to really pick a solid opinion on what I think about the legalization, as I can see the pros and cons of all sides. So today I'm going to be breaking down the issue of marijuana legalization and the viewpoints on whether legalizing the cannabis plant would be a good idea for the United States economy and public health. So first, let's explore those extreme viewpoints, starting with the argument that marijuana should not be legalized recreationally or medically. Those against marijuana legalization have one goal in mind: protect the human mind and body. They recognize that this plant is a drug that affects the brain at the time of use and after. This mind-altering chemical compound in marijuana is THC. This is the chemical that gives individuals that high feeling. THC has many side effects to that high feeling, including an increased heart rate, mood changes, possible depression, possible suicidal thoughts, memory loss, impaired judgment, and decreased cognitive function. In high doses, THC can cause hallucinations, paranoia, anxiety, and just straight panic. And as for lifelong consequences, research has shown marijuana linked to those with reproductive issues, a suppressed immune system, and cardiovascular issues. THC can also be addictive, which can also be a concern for these people. These people against legalization also believe that this is affecting our individual liberty, and it's the government's job to protect this individual liberty. Individual liberty in our country is not a given. There are some requirements to have it, and one of these is to have a sane mind. Timothy Hisayo says that a person's ability to act autonomously is diminished or destroyed if he is unable to deliberate or think coherently, or if he is subject to overwhelming coercive forces. Marijuana damages the individual's ability to think rationally, thus damaging their liberty. Because of this, the government should have an interest in restricting this substance that can impair and destroy these conditions. Now, our next viewpoint is that marijuana should be legalized recreationally or medically. And those in favor of marijuana legalization are thinking of the economic and health benefits of the plant. Legalizing marijuana would create an entire new industry in the U.S. There would be business for production, business for processing, and business for sales. And with all this extra business coming in, workers are required. So that means that the legalization of marijuana would create entire new job opportunities. A 2016 study in Nevada says that legalizing recreational marijuana in the state could support over 41,000 jobs and generate $1.7 billion in labor income. And that's just in Nevada alone. With a new industry in place, tax revenue would increase as well, thus helping the U.S. economy as a whole. In 2019, Colorado collected more than $302 million in taxes and fees on medical and recreational marijuana. Pro-marijuana people argue that if legalization helped Colorado alone this much, imagine what it could do for our entire country. They also recognize that the cannabis plant can be used for a wide variety of things besides just getting high. Fiber from hemp seeds can be used to make clothing, paper, and other things. CBD, a chemical found in cannabis, which does not get you high, can be used for many medical purposes. Its benefits include being an anti-inflammatory, pain reliever, and anti-nausea. It has also shown potential for treating epilepsy in some patients. THC also has some benefits. It can increase relaxation and fatigue for insomnia patients. It can decrease aggression and relieve nausea. And some research has been done with THC in reducing nausea for chemotherapy patients. So, though more research does need to be done, CBD and THC show a great potential for helping the medical field. Now, the third point of view is more of a compromise. These people recognize that marijuana does have some benefits, but it needs to be regulated. All they ask is that it's regulated in a different way than how alcohol is being regulated now. So now in states where marijuana is legal, government regulations are extreme. Taxes are put on the product, making the product extremely overpriced. And as a result, some sales are still done through the black market because consumers cannot afford the high prices. Alcohol is also regulated in a 3-tier system that creates a buffer between consumers and manufacturers, and these people wanted to deter from this system. And this is why. As seen in alcohol, this system makes it so that big companies monopolize the entire industry, and all the power of the industry lies in a few. For example, the beer industry is controlled by Coors, Budweiser, and Corona, and maybe Busch Light too. And why is this bad that only a few companies rule? Well, it causes a lack of variety. Increasing these barriers to entry to enter the market makes it difficult for new producers because they can't afford to join in. And with the producers being very few and the product many, well, the product's going to increase in price, they're going to decrease in quality, and there's just going to be a lack of innovation in the product, making the product bland, boring, and just not an interesting choice for consumers. And these people do not want marijuana to end up this way. They want to keep that variety up within the product. Alrighty, now that I have gone through all the viewpoints through marijuana legalization, I would like to open up this conversation for a discussion about what you think about marijuana legalization in our industry. And unfortunately, I live alone right now, so I don't really have anyone to have this discussion with me, so I'm just going to list out all the questions I would have asked if I had an audience. My questions are: how important is the issue to you personally? How do you think the government should regulate marijuana production if it were legalized? What experience have you had personally and impersonally with the cannabis plant? What do you think of hemp fibers being used for clothing, baskets, and other products? What negative impacts could you think of would come from legalizing marijuana? And then after we talked about it and had this discussion, I would move into my conclusion, which I'm going to do right now. In conclusion, the marijuana legalization debate has many valid viewpoints and arguments. All these arguments should be included when deciding whether to legalize marijuana or not. I discussed why to legalize, why not to legalize, and why to legalize in new ways. We also reviewed these in our little discussion if I were to have the discussion with other people. So I hope that I've urged all of you to continue your research on this topic so that in the future, when legalization comes into our voting decision, each one of you can make an educated decision based off of your own research. Thanks for your time.